Welcome everybody to the Undiscovered Games video podcast, where we take a look at the lesser known board games of the world and share those with you. We're going back to 2004 with a very undiscovered game today. This is called Hector and Achilles. It's a two-player game based on the Trojan War, published by Phalanx Games and designed by three very good game designers. We have Leo Colovini, who has a ton of great games, many of which I plan to feature on this channel. And we also have Maggi and Francesco Nepitello, who are most known for War of the Ring. Finally, we have some more great art from Franz Vohwinkel. I feel like every time I pick up a game and look for the artist, there he is again, Franz Vohwinkel. So we have a very talented design team and artist working together almost 20 years ago to create a game that hardly anybody knows about. And that's what this channel is all about, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not subscribed yet, so you can get updates on undiscovered games like this. The whole point of this video is to help you decide if this is a game that you would like to check out. And another point of the video is to learn the game without ever having to open this awful rulebook. I hate to be so negative, but this is one of the worst rulebooks I've ever read for a game this simple. This is not a difficult game to learn, but the way this is written, it's just poorly laid out, it's poorly worded, and I had to go on Board Game Geek and get clarification on lots of different things here. And now that I know the game, I feel like I can teach it to all of you in a fraction of the time that it took me to learn, because there was no video content on this when I tried to learn the game. So hopefully this helps you save a lot of time. You can watch the video and just sit down and start playing. If you're the type of person that likes to learn by just watching some sample turns, you can skip ahead to later in the video where I do my sample turns. I'll talk about some strategies and things to think about on your turn and things like that. But for now, we're going to start out with the full tutorial, all the rules, and then we'll get into the sample turns later. As always, check the description below for any rules clarifications or little mistakes that I might have made. I try to make these as clean as possible. Occasionally I might miss something, so check the description for that. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'll try to answer your questions quickly. To give you a very simplified overview of the game, one player is the Trojan army and one player is the Achaean army. Throughout the game, you're going to be playing troops into battle. You play one troop at a time, back and forth, until one player either retreats from battle, or if the battle ends, you tally up your troop strength. Whoever has the higher troop strength wins the battle. They get to keep their cards. Whoever had the lower troop strength loses the battle, and they have to lose their troop cards. The ultimate goal of the game is to make your opponent run out of cards. It's a very simple idea, but there's some really nice subtleties once you see how the game plays. For example, we're going to be rotating this fate tile in the middle to simulate if the fates are in our favor or in our opponent's favor. We're going to have a hero card that's kept secret from our opponents. We have to decide the right moment when to reveal and deploy our hero into battle, or maybe hold our hero back and bluff our way through the battle and force our opponent to maybe retreat. So there's some interesting mind games, some bluffing, a little bit of a game of chicken going on here, not just playing numbers to the table. The colors matter. You'll see how those work too. So let's take a look at how this plays, and I think you'll understand why I like this game so much. To set up the game, first decide who will be the Achaeans and who will be the Trojans. The only difference here is the Achaeans are always the attacker first, but after that, whoever wins the battle becomes the attacker for the next round. So there's really no difference in which side you play other than who gets to go first. Next, you're going to give each player their deck of troop cards. Now these decks are exactly the same. They have slightly different artwork on the back, so you can easily separate them out, but each player gets this identical deck of troop cards. They're numbered 1 through 4 in 6 different colors, and there's 2 of each number, so that gives you 48 troop cards. And then you're going to get 6 hero cards, so each player takes their matching heroes. The heroes function the exact same way. You just want to take the heroes that match your side. So if you're the Achaeans, for example, you would take, Ajax, Achilles, Agamemnon, Diomedes, Menelaus, and Odysseus. That's quite a mouthful there. I'm not going to try to pronounce the Trojan heroes, but if you're the Trojans, take your 6 heroes. The heroes function the same way. There's 6 different colors, 1 of each color, and the numbers range from 3 up to 6 on these hero cards. Now you want to sit directly across from your opponent in this game because of the way these fate tiles work, as well as your player boards. So you're going to give each player their player board, and think of these like a mirror image of each other. So place these so the 3 front stacks are directly across from each other, and then this 4th stack here is closest to the player. This vertical area here is where you're going to put your hero stack. So each player can take their 6 hero cards, shuffle them up real good face down, and place your hero cards here, and then each player can shuffle their stack stack of 48 troop cards, mix those up really good, and then evenly distribute those on these 4 piles here. So just make 4 piles of 12 cards face down. These front 3 stacks here, these are called your front lines, and then this rear stack here is called your home stack. So think of these stacks as being numbered. If you're the Achaean player, this is numbered 1, 2, 3 from left to right. The Trojan player is a mirror image of that. So theirs is numbered 1, 2, 3 directly across from the Achaean player. So that's a little bit tricky to wrap your head around at first. We like to just put little tokens with numbers so we can easily glance out and see which is your 1, your 2, your 3 stack. And that comes into play when we fight these battles because we're always going to be fighting each other from the same stack. It simulates being in a battle and attacking from the right, from the center, or from the left. After you do that, give each player 3 divine influence tokens that has this buffalo symbol. I'm not sure why they used a buffalo, but one player can take the blue ones and the other player can take the red ones. Just store these here at the bottom left of your player board. Place these 6 shame tiles within easy reach of the players, and then find your 6 fate tiles. Now the rulebook says to mix these face down, but that's impossible because they're double-sided. So we just use this bag here, put them all in the bag, and have the attacker draw 1 at random. Remember, the attacker is always the Achaean player at the beginning of the game, but then whoever wins the battle becomes the attacker for the next round. And you can give the attacker this little attack token here. So the Achaean player is going to draw one of these fate tiles out and place it in the center of the table. And you can orient this however you want. It's just that one color has to be clearly pointing at each player, like so. I'll explain the colors here in a moment. So let's talk about the goal of the game. The goal of the game is to deplete your opponent's cards. You will win automatically if you can deplete all 3 of your opponent's front line stacks, or if you can deplete their home stack back here. So that's the ultimate goal of the game. Now, how do you do this? Well, the game takes place over a series of battles. One player is the attacker and the other is the defender. The first thing you do, like I said, the attacker draws a fate tile and positions it. The next thing we do is the attacker picks one of their stacks. They draw the top card from that stack, and that becomes their vanguard. This troop is placed to the far left of their player board, and whatever number is on this troop determines which stack will be fighting this battle. This will be called our active stack. So if we drew a 1, then we would use the 1 stacks in this battle. If we draw a 2, we use the 2 stacks. If we draw a 3, we use the 3 stacks. If you draw a 4, however, the attacker gets to choose one of these 3 frontline stacks to use. So let's say the attacker draws the top card from this pile here, and this says number 2. That means the number 2 stack here and here will be the active armies participating in this battle. The card that the attacker drew right here is the attacker's vanguard. This gets placed to the far left of their player board here, and now they proceed to draw 4 cards, 4 troops from the active stack, which is the 2 stack. If they don't have a 2 stack anymore, if that's been depleted, then they must draw from their home stack back here. So they take 4 troops into their hand, as well as the top hero card from this stack here. So you're going to have 5 cards in your hand, 4 of them are troops, and 1 of them is your hero. Now the defender draws their vanguard, except they have to draw from the active stack. So they draw their vanguard from the 2 stack or from their home stack if they don't have a 2 stack anymore. This becomes their vanguard, which gets placed directly across from their opponent's vanguard right here. And I want to draw attention to this because the rulebook does a bad job of explaining this. Only the attacker's vanguard determines the active stack for both players. The defender's vanguard is just an extra troop in battle. And that makes much more sense thematically. It's just the way the rulebook is written, it kind of makes it seem like both players get to choose their own active stack. So anyway, I digress. Let's continue. So now the defender has their vanguard. Now they draw 4 cards from their active stack into their hand. And then again, they draw their top hero card. So now each player has a hand of 5 cards, 1 hero card, and 4 troop cards. Now the attacker takes their first individual turn of the battle. An individual turn is first choosing an optional action. You get 1 optional action, and then you must play 1 troop card to the table. So players are going to alternate these individual turns. First you do 1 optional action, then you play 1 troop card. Then the other player goes. They do 1 optional action, play 1 troop card. Back and forth until either one player decides to retreat from the battle or both players have played all 4 of their troop cards. So the maximum length of a battle is each player playing all their troops to the table. Then we evaluate the battle. Let's talk about the optional actions. Again, every time you take one turn in the battle, you get to do one optional action. Here are your choices of optional actions. The first one is discard a troop and draw a new troop. You take one troop out of your hand, discard it from the game entirely, and draw one new troop card from the top of your active stack. If your active stack is depleted, you have to draw from your home stack. So you just discard a card and draw a new card. This is a way to hopefully get a better troop card in your hand. But again, you're trying not to run out of troops. So you want to use this sparingly because that card that you discard is completely gone from the game. The second choice for an optional action is swapping out your hero. So if you still have your hero in your hand, you can discard it to the bottom of your hero stack and draw the top hero card. This is a way to get a new hero into your hand, and you'll see why you might need that. You cannot do this action if you've already sent your hero into battle, because that's the next optional action, is to deploy your hero into battle. The way you do this is you take your hero from your hand, place it onto any already played troop card, so it could be your Vanguard or any other troop card you play. Now that hero is in your battle and you can count his strength toward your battle score. However, your hero is going to basically cancel out this card, whichever card you play your hero on top of. That troop is no longer counted toward your battle. The next optional action is adding Divine Influence, and this is why you might want to deploy your hero into battle, because once your hero is out here on the table, now you can do this optional action, which is adding one of these tokens to one of your troops that's already been played. You can only do this action, like I said, if your hero has already been deployed in battle. So if you do this optional action, you take one Divine Influence marker and place it on a troop card that you've already played. You cannot play this on top of a hero card, and you cannot play more than one of these on the same troop card. So if I played a Divine Influence onto this troop, all of a sudden this 2 troop becomes a 3 troop. So each one of these will just add 1 to your troop value when we determine your battle strength. The last optional action you can choose from is retreat from battle. I'm going to explain retreating more in detail later, but just know that's your 5th and final choice when you're deciding whether or not to do an optional action. Again, you only get one optional action each turn, so you have to use them wisely. Do you want to deploy your hero early so you can possibly add more Divine Influence that round, because you can only do that once per turn? You're only going to get 4 turns maximum. So you have to really decide which optional action to do and when. So a quick recap of your optional actions: you can discard a troop, draw a new troop, you can change out your hero, you can deploy your hero into battle, you can add 1 Divine Influence, but only if your hero has already been deployed, and finally you can retreat from battle, which will end the battle right then and there. But first I want to talk about these fate tiles. After the attacker takes their turn, plays 1 troop to the table, the defender takes their turn, plays 1 troop to the table. Now you evaluate the total battle strength. So you add up all the numbers on your deployed military out here, and whoever has the higher strength gets to rotate this fate tile 90 degrees. They get the choice. They can either rotate it right, rotate it left, or just keep it where it is. If both players are tied for strength, nobody gets to rotate the tile. And don't forget, these Divine Influences will add 1 to your troop when you're determining this strength. So why do the colors on the fate tiles matter? Well, at the end of the battle, if we play the battle to the end, so if no one retreats, if we each play 4 troops, then we determine our final battle strength. We're trying to determine who won the battle. You're only going to get to count your troops of the color that's facing you on this fate tile. So if the blue is facing me at the end of the battle, I only get to count my blue troop cards, and I get to count whatever color my hero card is. So if I had a red hero card and the blue fate tile was facing me, then I would get to add up my blue troops for the fate tile as well as my red troops for my hero card. And that works whether I've sent my hero into battle or if I still have my hero in my hand. The only difference there is if my hero is in battle, I also get to add my hero's strength. So in this case, a red 6, I would get to count all my red troops, and my 6 would also be added to that total. Whereas if my hero was still in my hand, I still get to count my red troops, but I don't get to add this value of 6 to my strength. So after you determine your total strength, then whoever has the higher strength wins the battle. If you win a battle, you get to take all these cards that you've played back onto your active stack. So you don't lose any cards, any tokens that you've played come back to your player board. The loser of the battle, they have to lose all the cards that they've played into battle. And any Divine Influence tokens that were on these cards are also lost forever. The player does have the option, if they've deployed their hero and they lost the battle, they can discard one of these divine influences from their board. It's gone from the game completely, and they can take their hero back into their hero stack. So if they don't want to lose their hero for good, they can spend a divine influence to basically save them from losing that. So after you determine the winner of the battle, whoever had the most strength, they are going to become the attacker for the next round. But first you have to do a little bit of maintenance. This is called the closing phase of the round. So first of all, if your front 3 stacks were used in the battle, then you have to check to see if any of these have less than 5 cards. So if they have 4 or fewer cards, that stack is now considered depleted, and those cards have to get placed on top of your home stack. So if you were left the battle and you had like 2 cards left here, those 2 cards come back to your home stack, and then you have to reshuffle your home stack. At this point, if you have lost all 3 of your front lines, you immediately lose and your opponent wins. Or if you used your home stack at all during that last battle, you have to check that stack as well. If that stack has 4 or fewer cards, then you're immediately going to lose the game. Again, you're trying to knock out your opponent's front 3 stacks or their home stack. So after you check to make sure no player has won the game, then you just proceed into another battle. So each player shuffles their army stacks that were used in the last battle. You shuffle your hero stacks. You discard this fate tile, pass the attack token to whoever won the last battle, and that attacker now draws a new fate tile from the bag. They can orient this however they want. Once they decide on that, we proceed to the next battle, which starts with the attacker drawing a vanguard, which will determine the active stack for the next battle. So that's how the game flow works, and there's one more thing we need to talk about, and that is retreating from battle. So like I said, one of your optional actions is just to retreat. If you choose to retreat, the battle ends immediately. The other player becomes the winner of the battle. They take all their troops back into their active stack. The loser of the battle, whoever retreated, they're only going to lose the cards that they've played to the table already. So any cards left in their hand, they're going to get to keep. Any cards played to the battle already get discarded from the game, including if they deployed their hero. So if they deploy their hero, then they retreat from battle, they're going to lose that hero unless they spend a divine influence token to get their hero back. Now, before you do anything, when you retreat from battle, it's important to remember that this is a shameful act. So you're going to have a little bit of a punishment for retreating. The first thing you do is you check your board already. Do you already have any of these shame tokens? If you have any shame tokens from previous battles that you retreated, then you have to discard cards equal to this number of shame tokens. For example, say I retreat from this battle. Before I do anything, I look at my board. I already have 2 shame tokens here. This says I have to first discard 2 cards from the top of my active stack, and those are removed from the game. If I don't have enough in my active stack, I have to discard them from my home stack. Then, for retreating from this battle, I have to take another shame token and place it on my board. So you just have to remember, first you discard cards based on your shame tokens, then you take your new shame token from this retreat. You can never have more than 3 shame tokens, so if you would retreat from a further battle beyond that, you still have to discard those 3 cards, you just don't take any more shame tokens. So if you want to remember that rule, just set up the game where you place 3 shame tokens over here and 3 shame tokens over here. That way you remember you'll never get more than 3 of those, but you'll still have to discard those 3 cards every time you retreat. If there's ever a tie when you're resolving the battle, both players just get all their stuff back, it's a draw, and then you switch attackers. So whoever was the defender in that battle becomes the attacker to the new battle, but nobody loses anything if it's a draw. So I think I covered all the rules for Hector and Achilles, but I really want you to watch some sample turns here because you'll see just how easy this game is to learn once you watch it played. It's a very, very simple game, but the rules do make it seem somewhat complex. So I want to talk through some sample turns, maybe some strategies to consider, why you might want to play certain cards when, and things like that. And then I think you'll really start to understand the whole point of the game. So join me over at the table. I don't have my good microphone over there, so just bear with this lower quality audio on this next part. Then I'll come back and give my rating and final review. Okay, we're all set up here. My wife is the Achaean player, so she takes the attack marker. I am the Trojan player. Her card areas are numbered 1, 2, and 3 like this, and I am a mirror image of that, 1, 2, 3. So now she, as the start player, has to take a tile out of the bag, one of these fate tiles, draws it out of the bag, and places it at random, however she wants to orient that. Again, you always have to have one color facing each player. Now she's going to determine the active stack. She gets to pick any one of her piles and draw the top card. This will be her vanguard. So she has a yellow 3, that's her vanguard. But the 3 says that the 3 is the active stack. So now this stack is attacking this stack. Now she draws her hand of troop cards. She gets 4 cards from the active stack, takes 4 cards into her hand, kept secret from her opponent. And then she draws her top hero card from the hero stack. So this is my wife's starting hand. She has a blue 5 hero, and then she has her 4 troop cards. Now it's my turn to draw from my active stack. Again, it's 3. I have to draw my vanguard. I get a 4 yellow. Now, again, the 4 does not determine an active pile. We've already determined the active stack with this 3 from the attacker. This is just a troop in my army now. So right now I have a 4 strength and she has a 3 strength in battle. Now I draw 4 troop cards from the 3 stack. And I draw my top hero card as well. So this is my starting hand, again, kept secret from my wife. This is a purple 4 hero, and then I have 4 troop cards. Now my hand right now is looking pretty good in blue, and as you can see here, the fate tile blue is pointing to me. So if the battle ended and the fate tile was like this, then I would get to score all these blue cards that I've played into battle. But the battle has not occurred yet, so we'll see how this plays out. But that's some things I'm thinking about. I'm also thinking my hero, I don't have any other purple cards, so my hero color is not really doing me any good. So I might want to swap out my hero when it gets to be my turn, but we'll see how it plays out. My wife gets to go first.
Okay, so now I'm going to be thinking about my different options for my first part of play. And one of the things that I can do is switch out my hero. I'm going to do that because it doesn't match any of the other colors that I have in my hand or my vanguard. So I'm going to go ahead and swap him with the next hero card. I put him on the bottom and take a new one off of the top. I'm kind of liking the new one that I have because I already have a purple in hand. So I'm okay with that. And now I'm going to deploy one of my soldiers.
This is the mandatory part of her turn. She has to play 1 troop card to the table.
I'm going to play my brown 2 because later I'm going to have to cover up one of my soldiers. So this is probably the one that I'm going to be covering up. So I'm going to go ahead and place him into battle.
And that's her turn. Now I have a turn. I can first do an optional action, and I'm looking at what she's played. And remember, I don't know what her hero color is. So maybe she has a brown hero in her hand, and that's why she played that brown. I don't know. So I'm trying to kind of feel it out. I'm thinking blue is already facing me. So I might not want to play a blue thing yet, but I think I want to go high on my number, because if I have a higher number strength than her, I have control over this fate tile. So I want to try to maintain control over how this tile switches after each turn. So the first thing I'm going to do is swap out my hero, because this is not really doing much for me. And that's my optional action. And this one really isn't going to do much for me either, but that's fine. Her strength right now is 5. I have a 4 here, so I think I'm going to play my 2 blue. Because what this is going to do is, now that we've both taken our turns, you evaluate the highest troop strength total. So I have a 6, and she only has a 5. So that means I have control over the fate tile. You take the higher total value. I do not want to turn this, but I don't want her to know that. So maybe I want to turn it and hope to keep my strength above hers for the next round. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it just to sort of bluff a little bit. And I'm going to say I'm going to turn it like this. So I can turn it 90 degrees one way. So that doesn't give her the hint that I have a lot of blue cards in my hand. So now it's my wife's turn again, and she'll talk through her turn.
Okay, so looking at how he has turned the fate tile, I want to keep it like that because I have 2 yellow in my hand. My vanguard is also yellow. So I would get the points for all of my yellow soldiers that are deployed at the end, if this continues to stay pointing toward me. And I will also get the points for any colors of soldiers that match the hero. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this out the way that I have it in my hand. I'm not gonna do any more switches. So the next one I'm going to deploy is my hero. This is my optional. That's gonna go on top of one of the soldiers that I already have played. So now I have 7, and I get to deploy a soldier for my mandatory action.
Yep.
So I'm going to play another purple, and I'm trying to bluff my opponent by thinking that I have a lot of purple, might have more yellow, but I don't want him to know how much yellow I have because I want to keep this tile facing me.
Then it goes back to me. Again, I can do an optional action first, and I'm looking. I really want to get this fate tile rotated back my way. Because if I go too long, I risk her moving it again. So I'm thinking about that. I'm also looking at her total troop strength here, which is 10. And I have 6, so I'd have to play my 4. I might want to swap out my hero once more. So I'm going to do that again. Trying to get a higher number here. That might be good, but maybe not. Now I'm going to play my blue 4 soldier because I don't want her to turn that tile. So right now we're both tied with our troop strength. Nobody can touch the fate tile. Then it goes back to her.
Okay, again, I have 2 yellow in my hand. The yellow fate tile is still facing toward me, and I want to keep it like that. So I'm going to play my highest one in my hand, which is the 3. And I'm hoping that his numbers stay lower than mine at the end of this to keep this yellow tile facing this way so that I can get all the points for the yellow soldiers.
Okay, so it's back to me. Again, I'm looking at her total troop strength. She's at 13, and I'm only at 10. Now, I can't get over a 13 with the cards I have, because remember, if I play this card, it has to cover up one of my troops. Now, I could, I guess, play it here, which would put me at 12 and then add a 1. That would tie for a 13. But I think what I'm going to do instead is for my optional action, I'm going to discard and draw a new troop. So he goes out of the game, and I have to draw from the same stack. Again, 3 is the active stack. If I didn't have any cards left in my 3, I would have to draw from here. But I do. And again, I got a 1, so that was not a very good turn of events there. But I'm still okay. So I think what I'm going to do now is just play my purple 1 in hopes that she does not rotate that tile anymore. Because now she has a higher troop strength than I do. Is she going to rotate the tile? We'll find out.
Okay, so on my turn, I still want to ride out with the yellow because the fate tile is still facing me with the yellow, and all of my soldiers that are yellow will count at the end as long as I can keep that facing me. I still have my hero that's purple, so all of my purples are going to count. And I want to make sure that I do everything I can to keep my numbers the highest so that this tile doesn't get rotated at the end. So I'm going to add as an optional action one of my strength tiles, and it can go on to any one of my soldiers. And I am going to put it on the soldier that's purple because at the end, my hero will always count and the color that goes with that. And if this yellow gets rotated, if I would put the strength tile on a yellow and it's not pointing toward me, it won't count toward the end. So optional action, I added strength to my purple 3 soldier. And now I'm going to play as my mandatory action, my last card.
And again, she's only allowed to add this because she already deployed her hero. I cannot add divine strength because my hero is still in my hand, but I'm also making her guess what this is. So you have to balance when to deploy your hero and reveal what you have versus when to hold back your hero and sort of play it out a little bit. So now it's back to my turn and things are not looking good for me. What I had hoped was going to happen was that I could stay above her in strength and have total control over this tile, but she has gotten a lot more strength than me, and there's no way that I can get over top of her, 16 strength, whereas I'm sitting at 11. There's no way for me to get higher than that. So at this point, I think my best option is just to retreat from battle and save these cards so I don't lose them. So this is what you do when you retreat. I say I'm going to retreat. That's my optional action. That ends the battle. She automatically wins. She gets her hero card back. That goes into her hero stack. That will be shuffled before the next round. And then these all return to the active stack, which is the 3 stack. And then she's going to shuffle those as well. She gets to keep her divine influence. Luckily, I didn't use any divine influence, so I don't have to lose any of those. But these cards are all gone from the game. So I have to lose all these cards. Now, because retreating is shameful, I have to check, do I already have a shame token, which I don't. But if I did, I would have to discard that many cards from the active stack. But since I don't have one, I don't do that yet. Instead, I just take 1 shame token, place it here. And now next time I retreat, I will also have to discard 1 card from the active stack at that point. These cards go back to my active stack and my hero stack, and we just shuffle them, and we go into another battle. She won the battle. She keeps the attack token. And at this point, this would be where we check our stacks that were in the battle. Make sure you don't have 4 cards or less. We're good. If it was the end of the battle, and I only had 2 cards left here, these would have to retreat to the home stack, and then I would have to shuffle this home stack. But for now, I have plenty of cards left, so we're going to move on to the next battle. She remains the attacker. This gets discarded. She draws a new fate tile. She can orient that however she wants. And now we go again. So first she chooses a vanguard. She picks any one of her stacks, and it's a 1. So now 1 is the active pile for this battle. She draws 4 troop cards from the 1 stack. and she draws her top hero card. There's her starting hand for this battle. Now I also am going to draw a vanguard from my 1. Again, I have to follow this 1. There's my vanguard, and now I draw 4 troops from my 1 stack. And my top hero card, and there's my starting hand. My wife gets to go first.
Okay, I already have a 1 of purple out. It matches my hero card, but I don't have a lot of colors that are matching that. So I am going to try to switch my hero and hope for, really I'm hoping for green because I have a high green in my hand. So first optional action, I'm gonna switch my hero. This time I get a 4 of brown, which is okay for me because I do have 2 other browns in my hand. And looking out here at the fate tile, there aren't any browns, so that would kind of work out and I wouldn't have to discard so many of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this, and I am gonna start out playing a 2.
Okay, and it goes to me. So I have a very strong hero here, a 6 red, and I have another red in my hand. That's good for me because there is no red on this fate tile as well. And I have some green in my hand, so I'm thinking maybe I could get that green to rotate my direction before the end of the round. So I got to think about how I want to play this out. You know what? Maybe I'm just going to deploy my hero right up front and try to get control over this fate tile. So I'm going to go ahead and just show my hand here. I have to go on top of a troop that's already played, but since I don't have any brown, I'm not really worried about this. So I'm going to cover this troop. That's my optional action. She already knows I have some red now, so I have nothing to hide. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this red out here for my turn. That's my mandatory move. Now we evaluate our total strength. I have 9, she has 3. I can rotate the fate tile, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now green is pointing at me, and I'm hoping to end the battle with green pointing at me. Now it's my wife's turn.
Okay, so I was kind of hoping that the green fate side would go toward me and I could get something to work with this. So now I'm just gonna see what happens. I don't have any red in my hand that's gonna go with this 1. It's a low card. I don't have any that are played that are red. So for my optional action, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. He goes out of the game completely. And I'm going to draw again from my active stack to replace him with a new soldier. And I have a blue 3, also doesn't help me. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this 1 brown because I know I'm going to keep this brown hero. So I'll leave that out there. It's making him wonder. He's probably starting to think that I probably do have a brown hero since I'm playing low brown cards, but he doesn't know what else is in my hand. The fate tile at this point doesn't really matter to me. I'm probably gonna try to get rid of some of these other cards to match the brown again, or try to get it to rotate over to blue so I have some points to go with that.
So now it's back to my turn. I'm thinking I definitely want to get rid of this yellow. That's not doing much for me. So my optional action is going to be discard this troop and draw a new troop from the active stack. Now, I was hoping I would get some red or green, and I did. So that was a big move right there. And if I play this 4 right now, I might get my wife to retreat from battle when it's her turn again. And I think I'm just going to go and power through here and play this 4 red. So I have nothing to hide here. I just have a strong army, and she's going to have to decide what to do. So I have the highest troop strength. I could rotate this tile 90 degrees, but I'm not going to do that because I have green in my hand. So I'm going to say no on rotating the tile. Now it's my wife's turn.
Okay, so looking at what my husband has played, I know that there is no way I'm going to be able to get over his high number cards, especially since I have only played 2 1s and a 2. So I'm going to go ahead and retreat at this time.
So first, she looks down here. Does she have any shame tokens from previous retreats? She does not. So she doesn't have to discard any cards now. And she instead just takes a shame token and places it on her board. Now in the future, if she retreats, she'll have to discard 1 card first. Now these cards all get removed from the game, but she gets to keep the cards that are in her hand. So her hero goes back and she'll shuffle her hero stack, and then her 1 stack will also be shuffled. I get to keep all my cards because I won the battle. Let's go back to my 1 stack. I'll shuffle that. Now we both check our 1 stacks. If we have 4 or fewer cards, they would have to retreat back to the home stack, but we're both fine on that. Now I won the battle, so I take the attack marker. And then we proceed to another battle. Now I want to show you an example of if the battle does play out to the finish. Fast forward to the end of the round, we played an entire battle. Nobody retreated. The first thing we do is we check for the fate tile. So we add up our total strength. Hers is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have more than 9 here, as you can see, so I get to rotate this tile. Now, right now, her brown is scoring for her. I don't have any green, so I definitely want to rotate it this way. So now my red is going to score. her yellow is going to score now, but I needed this. So now I get to score my red cards and whatever color my hero is. So I add up all my brown cards and my red cards for a total of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. My strength is 10. My wife gets to score all her yellow cards and any color of her hero. Even though she didn't deploy her hero, she still gets to score her purple cards that are deployed. She does not get to add 4 to her strength because she did not deploy her hero. So she counts purple and yellow. Her strength is only 3. So I win the battle. I get to keep all this stuff. My token comes back here, and these cards go back to my active stack, and my hero, he comes back here. So I'm keeping all this stuff. She's going to lose all these cards. Now she gets to keep her hero because her hero was not deployed. If she had her hero deployed and she still lost the battle, she would have to lose her hero or discard one of her divine influence tokens to save just her hero. And then these would all be gone from the game. And then she would have to check one stack. If it had 4 or fewer cards, those would go back to her home stack. You do not have to worry about shame tokens if you lose a battle. That's only if you retreat from a battle. So she doesn't have to discard anything for shame tokens in this case. So these all go away. I keep all of mine, and then we go to the next battle. I would keep the attacker marker because I won. So that is Hector and Achilles. I really wanted to do a very detailed video on this game because there is not much content out there about this game. And like I said, the rulebook leaves a lot to be desired. So I just wanted to give you a video that you could go to both learn the game and also kind of see how it plays out. So save this video for your future reference if you ever decide to get this game. I want to talk about my rating. So as a board game, among all the board games in my collection, I give this an 8 out of 10. Now, if I was rating this just as a card game, I'd probably up that rating to maybe a 9 out of 10 compared to other card games. But as a board game overall, it's an 8 out of 10, and that's a solid rating for a card-based game like this. I think this is a very thinky and subtle game because every turn you take feels very important. Even though it's just colors and numbers, you're going to have some luck of the draw and things like that. But the game gives you plenty of options to think about and consider on your turn. Do you hold your hero back and wait to reveal that hero, play some really high colors that you know are not going to score for you and just hope your opponent gets scared and retreats? Or do you show your hero up front early so then you can come back on a later turn and add some divine influence and things like that? You have to think about when the right time is to swap your hero, when is the right time to swap out a troop, and ultimately sometimes you have to retreat. You have to just kind of cut your losses sometimes in this game, and knowing when to do that is critical. So there's some really interesting and great decisions to weigh every time it's your turn in that battle. It's just one card at a time, but when you have all those optional actions to choose from, it makes every turn seem very meaningful. Like, I have to make the right decision here, and there's going to be some lucky moments for sure. I mean, there's definitely times when you're just hoping for the best, or maybe you'll just do an action just to hope that your opponent does something that you weren't expecting, or just trying to bide your time or something like that. So it's not like you have complete control over the game, but it does feel like you're really in a battle here. I mean, you have to make decisions on the fly. It's a very tactical type of game, but you can do some long-term planning. When you see that fate tile, you can kind of think through your turn, but you have to be willing to adapt, and that's just like you would be fighting in a battle. So I really like how the game feels, the flow of the game. It's very smooth. This is one that my wife and I really enjoy for a 2-player only card game. So I just hope that this video helps you decide if this is a game for you. And one more thing I want to address: do not trust the Board Game Geek average rating on this game. Like, I don't know how much you're going to like the game. I can't say if you'll like it as much as I do, but I can promise you this is not a 5.4 out of 10 as Board Game Geek suggests right now. So that rating is a complete misrepresentation of this game. I feel like this game should be at least a 6.5 up to like a 7.2. Somewhere in that range is what this feels like to me. And I don't know why the rating is so bad on there, other than maybe people did not understand the rules, because the rulebook is pretty bad. So that's all for today's episode. Make sure you click subscribe so you can learn more about undiscovered games from this channel right here. As long as my subscribers are going up, I'm going to continue to post videos on a regular basis. If you want to support the channel more, there is a PayPal link in the description below. You can donate any amount you like. That's just like a digital tip jar if you found this video helpful. I don't expect that, but it is one way you can help the channel. The best way you can help the channel is to make sure you're subscribed and make sure all your board gaming friends are subscribed. With your help, I can grow my subscribers, maybe get to 1,000 by the end of this year. That's kind of my my short-term goal here is 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. That might be a little ambitious at this point, but I hope I can make that happen, and with all of your help, maybe we can do that. And if we get to 1,000 by the end of the year, then I will definitely do a giveaway right here on this channel, give away some games, some shirts, things like that. So stay tuned for that. Help me get my subscribers up and we can have fun with it. Until then, I will see you on the next episode with another great undiscovered game.